Well, welcome back everybody to the Force India career mode, and it's time for race number 3 in Bahrain. Really enjoy this track, so hoping we can have a good weekend, a good points finish last time out, to add to our couple of points in the first race, and we're starting to make some progress towards that 4th place in the Constructors' Championship. Now, we got a few upgrades due here in Bahrain, so we're going to head on over to the R&D room now, and hopefully they shall be put on the car for this weekend.
Right, some bad news on the development front. One of the parts failed quality control. We know how to fix it, but it'll take some extra resource. It's on hold for now, but you can order the extra work from the laptop at any time.
Well, that's really not what we wanted to hear. So the development of that front wing main plate has failed, which means we're going to have to spend an extra 450 points to get that fixed for next time out. So, really disappointing. It seems to happen quite a lot, from what I've seen from other people's career modes. It's still a shame, our very first upgrade on the car, and we're really trying to push to get ahead of Williams as early as possible in the season. So it's a pretty big setback, but hopefully that'll be ready next time out. So we're immediately going to spend those points to get that part ready for Russia. And then we still got quite a few resource points left over from last time. So we're having a little think here as to where we should spend those points. We can't make another development in aerodynamics. Basically, you're restricted by department. So you can only make one research and development per department. So we're taking a look at chassis and seeing if we can afford anything. Not really. But the one thing we have been struggling with is the power units are wearing a bit quicker than we'd expect. So we're going to decrease the wear by 10% on all components and the gearbox for 500 points. And this should mean, hopefully, less likelihood of us having to take a penalty later down the road. So we're going to go into practice. We're going to continue to use the power unit from the first 2 races. And then we're going to make some changes. Before qualifying was the plan, but that does turn out a little differently. So we passed the track acclimatization easily enough. Bahrain, as I said, one of my favourite tracks on the calendar. So we should be strong here, hopefully. We get purple in the tyre management as well. Nice and easy. And then fuel saving, struggling a little bit more with that. It's a pretty hard track with a lot of long straights to save fuel. So we only get green there. And then when we move on to qualifying, we are struggling. That internal combustion engine is now almost up to 80%. And the wear on the engine means that we just can't get the pace in the car to achieve the qualifying objective. So we make the decision to end practice 1 there, and then we're going to make the power unit changes and go out and make the final 2 practice programs. So we're going to be changing the internal combustion engine, the motor generator unit, heat, and the energy store, and the turbocharger for this race. The kinetic motor generator unit and the control electronics are still okay, so we're going to leave those on the car for another race. But we can always swap those parts back for a practice session in the future. They're not all completely done, although that internal combustion engine's probably had its day. We also take a look at the gearbox, but of course under the new gearbox rules you have to do 6 races with each gearbox, and if you change it beforehand you will receive a penalty. I think that penalty will be coming at some point, but not quite yet. So we'll use it for this race. Race strategy, we struggled a little bit. We got the final 2 laps, which gives us a green objective, so at least we get some points there. And then with those changes to the engine made, we easily get the qualifying objective to get purple there. So practice went pretty well, just dropped a few points here and there, but with the new engine fitted, we should be pretty good for qualifying.
Are ready. We hope you're ready as qualifying is about to begin here in Bahrain. Now then, Anthony Davidson, you're not getting any younger, but you have been involved in your fair share of qualifying sessions in an illustrious 30-year career. How do you deal with the pressure when you have that one chance to deliver a perfect lap?
It's not so much about dealing with the pressure, it's more about how you approach the risk and just how much of it are you willing to take. You're constantly balancing the car on the edge of grip from braking, cornering and traction. And over the course of a lap, it's easy to get that balance wrong. And that's why achieving the perfect lap is almost impossible. As you say, I've been doing this 30 years now, and it never gets any easier.
So heading into Q1 then, Q3 again is going to be our aim. 9th is the team's target, so hopefully we can achieve that and try and beat our teammate Perez. But on our second run in Q1, we just about get through. Once again, the AI improving massively after the session had finished. That lap should have been good enough for the top 10. But as you can see, both myself and Perez got knocked down quite a bit as the AI improved by about a second, quite a lot of them. So again, an issue we're going to have to deal with. Unless I don't know if Codemasters will patch that in. We'll have to see. But it was anyway, we got through, which was the main thing on one set of tyres. We did have to do 2 runs on those tyres. This is now our second run in Q2 on our second set of tyres. The first lap was only good enough for 15th. But as you can see, we're up 1.3 seconds here. And we're going to cross the line to go P7. And we're going to wait to the end of the session to see if it's good enough. And you can see it is. So Sergio Perez still a little bit quicker than us, only by about 0.05 of a second though. So it's going to be very close for Q3. But we got a good chance of staying ahead of Grosjean, would be the aim, and try and get ahead of Massa. The 2 Red Bulls qualifying on the soft tyres in Q2. So hopefully we should see some improvement there. But as always, I'm going to let you see the sights and sounds of our final run in Q3. So we come up to the line at the end of our final run of qualifying, and it's good enough for 9th. Making note at that time of 1:31.6, once again matching the time from Q2. But once again, a problem with qualifying. The AI improved by almost a second after the qualifying session finished. Perez, you can see there, a 1:30.2. Or 3, I can't quite read it from this screen. But a huge improvement from all the AI, and again, it's just robbing us of being competitive. How Perez would find just over a second from Q2 to Q3, I have no idea. So this is definitely an issue that needs to be solved by Codemasters. Qualifying, I don't mind it being tougher, but the AI improving when they're not. Some of them aren't even out on track, that's the thing. So there's no way they'd be able to get round at the end of a session because they're not even out. Yet they still manage to improve. So that needs to be sorted out.
Will only take you so far. Beyond that, you need good racecraft and you need good consistency.
And a little bit of luck too, I'd say. This is one of those circuits where the safety car always seems to come out just at the right time to condense the field together and mix up the cars on different strategies. It's hard on brakes, it's tough on fuel, and the main overtaking opportunity is down into turn 1, where it's easy to outbrake your opponent and potentially have a bit of argy-bargy as well.
But we're hoping we can still fight for good points. We start inside the top 10 on the super soft tyres. 2 or 3 stop strategy, no 1 stop strategy here. So the strategy that has served us so well over the season will not be being done today. 2 stop looking favourable. We'll see how the tyres hold up in the first stint anyway as we line up. For race number 3 then, After the formation lap, Massa and Verstappen ahead. We can see our teammate Perez there as well. So we're going to try and make progress into turn 1. Obviously try and avoid losing any body parts and get through cleanly. But as it's lights out and away we go, we make an okay start, a little bit slower than Massa beside us. And we're very unsure where to go into turn 1 really. Perez, Massa, Grosjean and Verstappen all alongside each other. We just avoid the back of Verstappen, but that means we have to back out of it. But Perez getting caught up there with Massa means we can go around the outside of our teammate and we stay in 9th place. Massa taking a look at Verstappen into turn 3 now. We're going to take a look down the inside of both of them. Again, just get it stopped before Romain Grosjean. Massa still on our outside here, and this is not an overtaking corner, but we're going to give it a go anyway. Little bang of wheels with Felipe Massa. We just about get away with it and edge him out down into this right-hander. And it's up to P7. Romain Grosjean as well in the Haas having a great start up to P6. And we're ahead of 1 Red Bull, which is good news at this point in the race. So hopefully we can start to close down on Grosjean now and make a little gap to Massa behind. And as we go to the end of lap 1, we're a little slow out of the final corner and Massa is all over our rear wing. We should have pretty similar top speeds here. DRS not active. So we just try and lose the toe on Massa, pick our braking point for turn 1 and we just about stay ahead of him. And hopefully we can make up enough gap to avoid DRS on the next lap. Now into lap 3. Grosjean making a move on Ricciardo. Ricciardo on the soft tyres, of course, having qualified in Q2 on them. And he's struggling for grip in this early stage. Great move from Romain Grosjean. Looks to have the move done, and Ricciardo, of course, is legendary on the brakes. Tries to go back around the outside, doesn't make the move stick. And we're going to see if we can take a move on Ricciardo. We're getting closer, and then there's a big front right lock up from Ricciardo. We hit him. Fortunately, no wing damage. And we just about get that move done. And that's crucial for our race, because Ricciardo's going to be a lot slower at this point in the Grand Prix. And with Massa and Perez just behind us, we want to try and get a gap and a car in between us. Whether we're going to have the pace to chase down Romain Grosjean, we hope so. Ricciardo, after his lock-up, comes back under pressure from Massa down the inside. But he avoids losing another place and just about keeps 8th behind us. 7th behind us even. But we're going to go wide a couple of corners later with a big front right lock-up. And we're just about able to get back in the tow. And even with DRS on that Red Bull, our Mercedes engine is more than the match for it, and we're able to take that position straight back. Pretty lucky that we had the advantage on Ricciardo, because it was a big lock-up. We just about held it, just about got out ahead of Massa, thankfully, without collecting him, and we're able to nicely get back down the inside of Ricciardo to keep hold of that 6th place. So now we move on to lap 10. We go 3 or 4 laps longer than everybody else. Wondering if maybe we do a one-stop or an alternate strategy at the end of the race. But for the first time with the new rules this year, I failed to release the clutch. And we're left standing for a long time. And Verstappen, who it is, not Ricciardo, manages to jump us in the pits. So not too happy with that. Hopefully we can still get back in this fight. We've got quite a few laps longer, which leaves us a lot of strategy options for the end of the race. And we're going to come out just behind Kevin Magnussen in the Haas, just about avoid getting our front wing chopped off. But on to lap 15 now. A few more cars have pitted. We've been closing slowly on Sainz, and there's a VSC out for, I think it's Verline, retiring. And this enabled us to gain a couple of seconds on Sainz. The AI seemed to be a little slow on the VSC this year. So we're able to close that gap up a little bit. But still not able to overtake Sainz. A lot of cars have made their final stop now, including Valtteri Bottas, who has gone on to the medium tyres, and he's going to have a look down the inside into the final corner. We run wide, which allows Bottas to go through. Sainz peels into the pits, and due to our late first stop, we decide to go a lot longer on the final stint. And we've got one set of used Super Softs, which shouldn't have too much wear. So we're going to chuck them on for the final stint. Bottas locking up into turn 1 there, and we almost collected. But as we go on to lap 19 now, and Bottas having a nibble at his teammate Hamilton down the pit straight. Side by side, the two Mercedes ahead of me. I just want to stay out of this and be as quick as possible. Bottas nicely gets the move done before turn 1. But as we go on to the couple of laps later and Bottas locks up into the final corner, this is something I'm seeing a lot more this year, which is AI mistakes, unforced errors, lockups, which is great to see, and it adds a little bit of unpredictability to the racing. But as we go on to lap 23 now, we've got a lot longer than anybody else on the final stint. This means we get to put on our used set of super softs, which should be okay till the end of the race. Unfortunately, going later has meant we're out of the fight with Grosjean and Perez, but we come back out in 10th just behind Magnussen and Sainz. And Daniel Ricciardo, who we were of course fighting at the beginning of the race, is now just behind us on medium tyres. So we want to get after Magnussen and Sainz as soon as possible, because we know Ricciardo is going to be probably quicker towards the end of this stint once we lose the early grip from our super softs. So as we go later on to lap 23 now, and we're on the back of Magnussen immediately, clearly struggling for pace on those mediums, and we get a great run down towards the final corner. We think about waiting for DRS, but we get such a good run that we may as well stick it down the inside into the final corner, and we easily make the move stick, going wheel to wheel there with the Haas driver. And as you can see, we're nicely tucked up behind the extra grip off the corners from our super softs, and the overpower from the Mercedes engine make it a simple move at the end of the day. And as we go on to the next lap, we get a run on Sainz with DRS, Mercedes engine. It's easily done down into turn 1, and we're up into 8th place. Grosjean a long way down the road, about 10 seconds down the road, fighting with Perez. On that same lap, Ricciardo gets past Magnussen now, just as we're about to overtake Sainz on the main straight. So he's our main challenge for that 8th place at the moment. We know we need to get a move on before he manages to get past Carlos Sainz. Magnussen has a little go back down into turn 1, but that Red Bull is a little bit more confident. And then on to the very next lap, Ricciardo then finally gets past Sainz and can set chase to us with the gap around about 2.5 seconds. And our super softs are starting to struggle a little bit at this point. Just note on the fuel, we overfueled massively in this race because we forgot to check it. And as we move on to the final lap, we've been saving fuel and the engine quite a bit, because as you can see, the MG UK and the gearbox are quite heavily worn. So we're a little bit down on power, and the super softs are pretty much done at this point. And Ricciardo on the final lap just 8 tenths behind us. As we come down to the final corner now, it all looks under control. We come around, we run a little bit wide, which is going to give Ricciardo half a chance down the pit straight. But that Renault engine doesn't have the pace, and the DRS doesn't open early enough. And we cross the line for a fantastic 8th place. At the end of the day, I think we could have had a much better result here. We went longer on the first 2 stints. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do. The soft tyres when we pitted on lap 23 were about 50% worn, so I think we could have maybe done a 1-stop here and maybe held off Perez and Grosjean right at the end of the race. But at the end of the day, it's some solid points still for the team. The car pace is looking good. The upgrades we're still waiting for, so hopefully they'll be on the car next time out and we can start at least moving ahead on pace from the midfield, as Sebastian Vettel takes his first win of the season, breaking Lewis Hamilton's monotony on it. So it's 2 wins for Vettel, 2 wins for Hamilton, 1 win for Vettel, and the championship is very much alive between those two. No OP Kimi Räikkönen in this career. I've seen it in so many others, but he seems to be second best to Vettel in this career mode, at least for now. And as we go on to results then, Sergio Perez gets his best point haul of the season with 6th. Him and Grosjean, again, if we'd pitted at the same time as them or maybe done a 1-stop, we could have raced them today. By doing the very late last stop onto the super softs, we sort of took ourselves out of contention with those two. But we still came back through nicely. Beating a Red Bull is no easy feat either. And it means that we move up to 6th place ahead of Ricciardo with 14 points. Perez's 8 points means that he's now up to 9th. And it means for the constructors, we've now moved ahead of Renault. Eventually, when we get there. There we go. Nicely ahead of Renault, 9 points ahead. Red Bull, as I say, it'd be nice if we could challenge them at the end of the season. But as long as we stay in that 4th place, that's the main thing for the moment. A few more points towards the R&D from a pretty good result. We're going to just about stay ahead of Perez. This is a very close run rivalry. Obviously, he outraced us today, but we did beat him on fastest lap to get that back. And then with the team standing, we're going to increase by finishing 4 places above 9th. But we're going to lose 3 from failing to beat Perez. So we sort of end up where we started. And that is going to be round number 3 in Bahrain. It was a really good race. For a circuit that I'm really fond of and I'm normally really quick on, it's a little bit disappointing. But Perez is certainly proving a worthy teammate. I think he had some very unlucky results, especially in Australia, when the safety car just decided to smash him off the track. And he's certainly starting to recover the points now. And I'm pretty sure we're at the right difficulty. Bahrain is one of my better tracks, and we struggled a little bit on pace compared to our teammates. So I think we're at a good place with the difficulty. So we'll leave that at that for now. Russia and Monaco are going to be very tough as well. Russia I'm not great at. Monaco is not going to suit the strengths of our car because we don't have the greatest aerodynamics. If we can get a couple of upgrades to the aerodynamics before Monaco, we might be able to do okay. But for now, we've made a great start to the season. I hope you're enjoying this career mode. We'll be back with Russia in a couple of days' time. Hopefully the Kart with Rage should be ready to go out tomorrow, the first race. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well. It'd be greatly appreciated for some more 2017 content and Motorsport Manager as well. Hopefully, me and Rage will be doing another live stream either Tuesday or Thursday, so please do tune in for that. But as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.